Okay, we are live. Mike, you can remove the graphics. Sarah, you can begin whenever you're ready.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our May regular Board of Directors meeting. I don't really have much opening remarks, except I want to thank all of my fellow directors for being great sports and enjoying our backgrounds and ring lights and green screens that we've got. I love seeing everybody look uniform. We can jump right into the agenda if somebody has a motion to approve the agenda.
I so moved.
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we can move on to consent calendar. Any concerns, questions? Did you want me to go through the items on the consent calendar? If not, I can entertain a motion to approve.
I move we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Moving on directly to member comments. Do we have any members here who would like to make any comments? If so, please raise your hand, or you can text or chat with Christina and let her know. I'd like you to start with your full name and address. If you're not comfortable giving us your address, you can also chat with Christina and send your address to her. Any member comments? John, did you have any member comments? John Price, I think, wants to be.
Okay, I unmuted John Price.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes, John, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good evening, Madam President and esteemed board members. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes this evening of your time. My name is John Price. We moved into the community last fall, last October, in a subdivision near Wheelie and Barron Cameron Avenue. And I just wanted to really just say thank you to some of the folks that I've been my initial dealing with. We had a couple of trees that were on the Restaurant Association side, and they were already deemed to be taken down. And I was following up, and I spoke with Mr. Brian Cahart initially, and very responsive. He called me right back, and we played phone tag for a few days, and I realized none of this is going to happen really quickly. So I just had some reasonable expectations that I went over with him. And I'd say within a couple of weeks, had the arborist, JP, that's all I've got. I didn't have it was easy to remember because I'm thinking JP, John Price, that's easy. But he and his crew, so professional. They explained everything to me as it was going, what they could possibly do, what they may not be able to do. And I always have reasonable expectations of anything like that. But the service delivery was spot on. And everyone I spoke with, up until including the phone call to Restaurant Association to get Mr. Cahart's number, totally professional. So a really good first impression. And I couldn't be more pleased with that. So just to say thank you, I think you can rest assured you have some very competent folks interacting with the public. And I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you. And please pass that along to them and their supervisors. And that's really all I had to say. And I appreciate your time.
And John, I think Larry, do we have the staff here so you can thank them directly?
I know that JP is on. I'm not sure if Brian has made it yet. But I know JP's here. Yeah. I can see him in his car.
Well, JP was, he's the one I talked with the most because we were face to face, and he was just direct. And I love that because he was explaining everything to me, and I love everything spelled out, and he just gave me everything. And we just went over some ground rules, and I understand that completely. My background's public safety. I get it completely. And very professional, very professional. Can't say enough good things. And again, just a remarkable first impression.
Mr. Price, I'm glad you came out to speak tonight. And JP, thanks for the great service as always, as well as Brian. And I think we also had there was probably another team member out there as well, but you know, our arborist crew that we like to call them, don't take this wrong, a crack crew, that they get out there and they get on it pretty quickly. So I'm glad you had a good experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that's all I have. And thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Thank you, John. Thank you for taking the time. And Jason, thank you so much. We have reached out to Mac and you make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
John.
Welcome to Reston.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, just one last thing. I know people will spend more time. They like to, if something doesn't go their way, they have no problems calling to complain, but it's rare someone will sit there and take a minute just to say thank you. And that's what I want to do. And that's what it goes a long way. It really does.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, John.
So
Bye.
thank
Pass that
you.
on to my crew.
Thank you. Thank you very much, JP. You folks have a good evening. I'm signing off.
You too.
as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Christina, do we have any other member comments?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Fantastic. If no member comments, I think we can jump right into the agenda with our certified candidate statements for at-large. I just want to make one quick remark. You know, we've always had calls out for candidates and we're begging people to run. We are spoiled for choice here. We have 4 fantastic candidates here. We're just going to go down the order of application. So depending on whose application came in first. Christina, correct me if I have the order wrong. I think I have Farrell first, Linda next, Dan third, and Bill Roundtree last. Is that correct?
That is the order that I received them.
Fantastic. John, you have your 5 minutes. Have fun.
I guess following normal protocol, I need to say my name and address, which is John Farrell, 11545 Under Oak Court in Reston, Virginia. Thank you, Madam President. Congratulations on your election and to all the other officers who were recently installed. Thank you for all the board members for giving us the time to talk to you both tonight and prior to tonight. I also want to thank Linda and Dan and Bill for stepping forward to offer their time and talents to our fellow Restonians. I don't plan on taking my full 5 minutes. Most of you have gotten to know me over the past many years and have gotten to know that given the opportunity, I could wax prophetic about my love for Reston as an ideal and as a reality for more than 5 minutes, but I won't do that. RA has a great story to tell. We can do an even better job of sharing that story. It's far too easy for us to get in a defensive crouch, apologizing for the size of our assessment. But what a bargain it is. For $750 a year, we get 15 pools, 54 tennis courts, 55 miles of trail, and more than 160 acres of open space. Compare that to the annual membership fee at many of the pool clubs in the Fairfax area, where for more than $1,000 a year, a member gets 1 pool, maybe a couple of tennis courts, and a basketball hoop in the parking lot. That's not all. We also get the services of many very talented people who are devoted to the best interest of Restonians. Staff members like Laura Kowalski, Cam Adams, Sean Barami, all of whom I've had the privilege to work with over the past year, and so many others, too numerous to name. Such gifted, talented staff members need to be cultivated and encouraged. Last year, I was honored to be appointed by this board as vice chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. And one of the first tasks assigned to us was the survey of the community around Shadowwood Pool. One of the questions we posed in that survey was whether members found the size of the annual assessment to be a burden. The overwhelming response was that the assessment was not a burden. That's not to ignore the challenges faced by the several among us who might need help in addressing the requirements of that assessment. But it is confirmation that the vast majority of Restonians believe they are getting good value for money. As a board member, I'd be vigilant to see that our assessments are spent wisely. I also would bring to the board my experience of cluster president. 70 to 80% of members of RA live in townhouse clusters. I frequently say to friends who don't live here that Reston is a city of townhouses in the woods. Dealing with the interaction between RA and the clusters is a challenge that has been especially personal to me over the last many years. And I hope you would see the benefit of having that perspective on the board. You all know my experience as a land use attorney. I have regularly used that experience for the benefit of RA, and most specifically during the recent and ongoing Reston Master Plan Task Force. We just celebrated the 58th anniversary of Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society speech at the University of Michigan. As many people may know, Reston is a child of the Great Society. Bob Simon used the New Towns program of the Great Society to found Reston. I believe that Reston Association can continue to be, in the words of President Johnson, a vital part of enriching and enlivening the life of the nation and of our community. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm happy to answer any questions. It would be a privilege to join you in serving our community.
Directors, any questions for John? Nope. Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to Linda. Thank you, John, for that. Linda, you're up next.
Thank you, President D'Souza, and thank you to the board for your consideration of my candidacy. I'd like to begin by telling you who I am because I haven't met some of you. I pastor an inclusive post-denominational microchurch. I'm married to a decorated veteran who served his country and the government for over 40 years. This year, we're celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. We've lived in the same house in North Point for 37 years. We also own a condo in North Point that our amazingly talented young adult daughter lives in, and we're active participants in that community association. So that means we pay 2 assessments in Reston. Professionally, I've been in engineering, technology sales, business development, and marketing, operations for Fortune 10 companies, and I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. Hopefully, hearing those things about me will help you understand the skills and experience that I bring to the table that would add to the skills and the experience that is already around the table. There's a proverb that says, "Let others praise you. Don't brag about yourself." So I'll tell you what some others have said about me. Big Sisters of America of the nation's capital called me Big Sister of the Year. An international organization representing over 400 pastors called me Executive Director of the Year. An award presented by Miss Oprah Winfrey recognized me as one of the 100 top Black businesswomen in America. March of Dimes and Women in Technology honored me with a Lifetime Achievement Award, though I still believe that I have some life to live. Capital One Bank named our firm the Spark Small Business of the Year, that's a mouthful, for the work that we did for them and with our customers. And most recently, the Fairfax NAACP asked me to chair its Faith and Community Affairs Committee. You will find me to be willing to listen, willing to learn, and willing to be taught. One of my favorite expressions is seek to understand, not to be understood. I promise you that I'll bring a perspective that no other board member has, one that is important as you look forward to the many changes that are coming to Reston. If you believe someone with past experience sitting on nonprofit boards as well as for-profit boards, and someone with experience doing strategic planning, who's helped other organizations with employee development, leadership development, and succession planning, and someone who has experience in customer engagement would be a benefit to you, then I'm the person you should choose. If you believe the board would benefit from someone who will always ask the right questions, never believing they always have the right answers, then choose me. If you believe the lens through which I see the world may help the board ensure that not just the privileged in Reston, but the marginalized in our community are served, then I'm the candidate you should choose. A recent tweet about One Fairfax said, "It's important to have diverse voices at the table when making strategic business decisions. When you end up making costly, foolish mistakes. Consideration of equity when making policies or delivering programs and services is key to the future of Reston." In closing, for my daughter and the children I believe she will have, I would like Reston to be the place that Robert Simon envisioned, a place where its rapidly growing, changing demographic truly will be able to live, work, play, and serve. If you believe my seat at the table will contribute to your efforts to make that dream a reality for all Reston residents, then I ask for your nomination and your vote. Any questions?
Directors, any questions?
Thank you.
And I think, Linda, you've met with most of the directors too, right? So,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for that. Dan, you're up next. I feel like I'm hosting a game show.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And Linda, you're a tough act to follow. My name is Dan Linder. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh, starting out as a pharmacist and certified diabetes educator in Western Pennsylvania. I also was able to spend time in the pharmaceutical industry as a clinical study monitor in the early days of monoclonal antibody technology. I had a very young, very interesting time in my 20s. In 1998, I moved to Reston to take a job in information technology, completely changing careers. With Computer Associates, then BEA Systems, and finally via Oracle via acquisition. Oracle acquires a lot of companies. In 2009, I moved into the high entry world of cybersecurity at McAfee, and then by acquisition wound up spending a little bit of time at the Intel Corporation, very interesting and dynamic place. And eventually, I also specialized in nation state sponsored cyber threat intelligence with a company called CrowdStrike, which some of you may have heard of, some of you may not. But CrowdStrike was a company that was smack in the middle of the alleged breach of the DNC asset, or a DNC asset by a Russian adversary. In 2002, I married Amy, and our daughter Riley came along in 2004, and our son Aiden in 2006. In 2017, I dropped out of the corporate world and co-founded my own business, Golden Rule Home Watch and Concierge. We manage unoccupied and vacant homes in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., with a client base that includes seasonal travelers, those in the State Department Foreign Service, professional athletes, I'd like to say go Nationals, and owners of more than one home. We also solve problems by being the eyes, ears, and feet on the street for our clients. And this is probably one of my biggest attributes is problem solving. And so because we never know what's going to happen. And we're the eyes and ears and feet on the street for our clients when they're out of town or out of the country. I've also been trained in reading body language, and so I know how to read people and what they're really saying. I've had a very eclectic career and have a wealth of experience that has fostered business savvy, understanding how to work with others, what compromise means, the art of negotiation, the value of using simple math and seeing real ROI, being empathetic to those around you, treating people fairly and with respect, listening to others, using social media effectively since it is all a competition for attention and eyeballs these days, embracing change and making fact-based decisions using objective metrics whenever possible. Whew, that was a mouthful. In the last 5 years as a small business owner, I've enjoyed both the fruits and challenges of the entrepreneurial world. I am blessed to have been successful at everything that I have done in life and have always endeavored to live with resolute integrity and honesty. I will always do my best to help others, and I will always do the right thing. And I expect the same thing from those around me. I have done volunteer work to combat human trafficking with the Nova Human Trafficking Initiative, been involved in fighting hunger via Generosity Feeds, and I've also co-chaired the membership committee for the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce, and as well as being a member of the Chamber's First Responders Committee for Northern Virginia. Both of our teenage children are lifeguards at Reston Pools, and our daughter is also qualified as a pool operator and will be the head coach of one on one of the RSDA teams this summer. And that would be Audubon, so go Audubon. The pools, tennis courts, trails, and trees make Reston, well, Reston. And that's what we absolutely, we've lived there for 20 years and we love Reston. Living in Reston has been very wonderful for my family. I have no political agenda or hidden agenda at all. My goal is to help Reston move forward. If chosen for this large director seat, I plan to give back by bringing my values, experience, and getting the job done mentality to such issues as the events. I saw on the agenda that there are two I'm sorry, I'm struggling with the vocabulary, two events that had to be approved, the polar ice dip and one other event. And I'm wondering why there are not 12 events on the calendar. So we should be using our attributes to drive more revenue and more involvement for Reston. So I see that as that caught my eye. So I'm wondering why there's not more events. And if an event is credible, responsible, is fun for all, and brings people trapped to Reston, then it should be a slam dunk in my mind. Reston should be known as a place that is easy to deal with. RA wants people to choose Reston over McLean, Vienna, Ashburn, Arlington, right? I think we can do that. I will make every effort to understand any politics within RA, but I am not a political person. If that is what is most desirable, then I am not the right person for the slot, and you should vote for someone else. If, however, you are looking for someone with a track record of success who helped to get things done while treating others with respect, dignity, and fairness, regardless of their skin color, religion, or political beliefs, then I am your guy. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. Any questions, fellow directors? Hearing none, moving on to Bill. Bill, are you here with us?
I'm unsure if Bill is actually connected to audio. I just made him a co-host though. So Bill, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Christina, I'm on the phone with Bill. I believe he needs to log off and log back in order to reconnect.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you, Sean.
We still have a few minutes. We can afford to wait. While we're waiting, I can share with the other candidates how this works. We're going to go into executive session and we will have our discussion there and we will come out to vote. The vote will be in open session. It's just the discussion will be in executive session. Look like we have Bill. Sean?
Done.
Yes, hi.
Video.
If you can do video, that would be great, but we hear you.
So
Bill, this is your 5 minutes. Welcome. You can share with us some of your experiences, and this is your elevator pitch. Go for it.
Hey, Sarah.
I
can't hear you.
But can you hear us now?
I've unmuted, but I can't hear you.
It's probably your audio. Sean, can you text him or message him?
So we're thinking it's possibly his internet connection.
Okay.
We will try to work offline.
Thank you, Laurie, for posting that. I wonder if he's able to see his chat.
Okay, I've got your message, Laura. Thank you. Sarah, if you can hear me, will you please nod? Okay. I apologize for the video. Laurie, thank you. You're a sharp pistol. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm Bill Roundtree at 1963 Barton Hill Road in Reston. And thank you all very much for letting me being considered to be a member of the board. I've lived in Reston since its beginning, and I've dealt with the association and previous boards on numerous occasions, and I'm very, very familiar with all of its operations and components. I've had a very successful and rewarding career in the military and practice the law and the U.S. Congress and the federal government, private sector with a multinational company and my own consulting business. And I've served on the board of directors of the Wolf Trap Foundation and on a huge variety of committees and task forces and other positions in nonprofit and for-profit entities. I've got very good leadership, management, and consensus building skills. And I believe that each of us has a duty and an obligation to serve our community. And now that I'm retired, I have the time to do so once again. So based on my meetings with all of you, I believe that the new board has the ability to serve its members very well. And I'm prepared to help in any way possible to reach the board's goals and objectives. So if I can get audio back from you guys, I'll take some questions. Otherwise, that's it. And I apologize for the communication snafu.
Directors, do we have any questions? I'm sure Christina,
Okay,
you
still
can help
can't
us
hear
through
you,
it on
Sarah,
chat.
and I'm unmuted. How come I
Sarah?
can't get you back?
Christina, can you tell him that we will post on chat?
Somebody send me a written message and explain. Otherwise, I'll get off the line and and wish you all luck for the rest of the meeting.
Sarah,
Yes, go ahead, Jennifer.
I have two, I think, quick questions, but I think it would be for the benefit of
Chat.
everyone listening. One is
Okay, I'm in chat now.
one. I'll mute Bill until we can get to him. One is, I think, for the curiosity of just collecting some data so that we have some feedback. And the second one, I think, relates to the board and might be helpful to the membership. The first one is just curious why all of you selected to come forward now and run for an appointed position versus running for an elected position. I think the deadline was what, end of January, or was that in December? I can't remember. But just kind of curious, you know, if there's anything you could share as to why you chose now versus a few months ago. And the second one is the board has committees that we're all assigned to be liaisons to or serve on. And right now the board has our board governance committee and our DRB liaison spots open. So I was wondering if you could share what you think you could bring to those two slots.
Christina, I know that's a bit for you to type. Can we let the others answer if they want to? We'll go in the same order. John, do you want to take that first? John Farrell?
Sure. I think everybody here knows that I ran for the board. In fact, I ran for the seat that's now vacant a year ago. While folks did approach me to run this past January, we were in the middle of doing the Shadowwood Pool, and I was vice chair of PRAC, still am. And I was very concerned that the Shadowwood Pool not become politicized. The resolution, the board had not yet, when it was time to file, the board had not yet come to a resolution on that. And I was dedicated to getting the Shadowwood Pool renovation done and didn't want to see that get caught up in the middle of a campaign. So, and that has happened in the past, as some members of the board may recall. That's the first question. The second question is, as far as board committees go, I could basically serve on any of them.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Bill Roundtree.
Yep, there we go. It's okay. Go ahead, John. Finish up.
Sure. I know what the functions of the BGC are. I can see myself serving on covenants or as liaison to covenants or DRB. Obviously, as an attorney, I could fit on legal, but I think that's full right now. So I think I could be a jack of all trades and fill in any gap there on any committee that the board has. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Linda, are you available to go next? If not, we can go to Dan and come back to Linda in a minute. Linda, you
All right.
ready?
I'm ready. I'm sorry, I was having trouble getting myself unmuted.
And no,
Thank you, Jennifer, for your question. I believe your first question was, why are we choosing to put our hats in the ring at this point as opposed to the election? And quite honestly, I've never seen myself as the kind of Reston resident that many of you have. And so I'm asking to be someone who has a seat at the table so that I will become more a part of the community, and my family will become more a part of the community than we have been. And if I'd had more of an opportunity to talk with you personally, then you might understand some of the challenges that we've had as Reston residents. And that's why it's important to me to make sure others have a better experience living in Reston, and that we are part of the solution rather than, people who are just complaining about the way things are here. So that's my reason for putting my hat in the ring now. And your second question was, what committee would we see ourselves serving on? And quite honestly, I think I said it during my comments, I don't see myself as someone having all the answers. I would think that you, having more experience than I, might offer some feedback about where you might see my skills, talents, and experience being more beneficial. I mean, I could certainly offer ideas, but as I said earlier, I'm not one to come to the table and say that I have all the answers up front. I'd like some input, and then we could make a decision together.
thank you, Linda.
Sarah,
Dan?
I'm sorry, Sarah, just so you know,
Yes, John.
I've got a workaround so Bill can hear everybody now. So when you're ready
Fantastic.
to pose a question to him, just feel free.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean. You're a star. Dan, you're next.
Okay, thanks again. And again, Dan Linder, 2367 Tumbletree Way. I realized I didn't say that when it was my turn, so I don't want to be the problem child. So recently I had the pleasure to sit on a couple different DRB meetings, because there's an event or a home being changed in our neighborhood. So I was on a couple of DRB calls, and it was a very eye-opening experience. I learned a lot about the DRB and Reston Association, but it was mentioned on those calls that they were always looking for people, and there weren't enough people volunteering or stepping up. And so I thought, well, okay, I have a little bit of time, and I have some experience. And so I thought, I'm not going to be the kind of person that just complains but doesn't do anything. So I threw my hat in the ring. As far as an appointed position versus election, that really didn't have an effect. It was the position that was at the time. And so I thought, now's the time to put my hat in the ring, and because today, not tomorrow. So anyway, thank you. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Bill, if you can hear us, it's your turn.
Can you repose the question for him, please?
Sure. Bill, I just want to confirm you can hear us now, and I'll unmute.
He can hear you, but I'm trying to get him to unmute himself.
Yeah, me too.
Bill, if you would, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
So you can hear me, Bill?
Yes. How about you guys?
Wonderful.
Okay. Sorry for the mess up.
No worries.
You asked two questions. One was, why am I running for an appointed position versus elected? The opportunity presented itself, and I'm quite happy to run for re-election whenever the slot becomes open again. As far as the boards and the activities that I might be useful to you, I've dealt with all of the committees. Obviously, as an attorney, as legal, I've done board ops. I know an awful lot about FARC and DRB. I can do whatever you guys feel you have a little vacuum in terms of knowledge, experience, and background. So I'll rely on your guidance and expertise. And I'll do whatever you want me to do. Okay.
Thank
Did that answer your question, Jennifer?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, thank
Anybody
you.
else?
Thank you all. I really appreciate.
Thank you, Bill. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, we can move into executive session. Any questions? Nope. If I could have a motion to move to executive session.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Madam
Aye.
President?
Aye.
You need to
Yes,
state the purpose.
Johnny?
You need to state the purpose of the executive.
Got it. This is why we pay you the big bucks, Johnny. Yes, executive session for personnel matters, violation matters, consultation with counsel, contractual matters.
Second.
I think the move in the second was good. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Christina, take us away. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Cam Adams, the Director of Covenants Administration, and I'm working with our Community Outreach Manager, Megan McCuzy, to discuss our 11th update to the RA Board on cluster outreach. What's currently happening with the outreach in our department related to communications? First, our Cluster Connect newsletter continues to be something that our cluster leaders enjoy reading, and our next issue will be done on June 28th, 2022. Topics in the newsletter range from what grants are available for maybe doing a beautification project, some drainage and erosion tips and tricks, some budget-friendly tips and tricks, putting out information related to the covenants advisors, positions being available on the design review board or covenants committee. And it's really just our way of keeping the cluster leaders informed on what's going on from the covenants perspective. The second thing that we do is our meet and greets, where we host a meeting on a quarterly basis to kind of go over different topics. The topic for our meet and greet in January was electric vehicle charging stations. The topic of our May 9th meet and greet was site lighting within Reston clusters, which we'll get into in a second. And our next meet and greet topic is to be discussed. We are still trying to formulate what would be very specific and timely for cluster leaders to know sometime in July. And so we are figuring out what the next topic will be, and that will be kind of broadcast in our June 28th Cluster Connect newsletter. The last thing that we really love and enjoy doing is our Reston Today videos with a great RA communications team. Our last frequently asked questions video was done in March of 2020, and it kind of goes over just the most popular questions that Covenant staff gets from time to time related to affected parties, what should be included in your application, how can someone file a complaint. There are tons of questions, and we are going to continue the series with our part 3, hopefully being in one of the RA News email blast that goes out to the community sometime this month, and we're really excited to continue that as it seems to be very popular. As I mentioned, our meet and greet recap for our May 9th meeting, which happened earlier this month, had about 45 attendees, which is really great. The topic was specific to site lighting within Reston Association's community clusters. And it really kind of gave an overview of the county ordinance requirements and how this is being interpreted by not only Dominion Energy, but also Fairfax County zoning. It also had a overview of the Reston Association and the design review process for proactive replacements of site lighting. A lot of clusters have aging infrastructure, which is now coming of the time for replacement, and how do they go about community-wide light pole replacements, light fixture replacements, and what is that process? We also kind of went over examples of the available cutoff light fixtures, which are a requirement for replacements from the county ordinance that are available from Dominion Energy. There was also a great Q&A session with the representatives from Dominion Energy, and I think those questions were really helpful for cluster leaders to ask, to then take back to their membership and kind of inform them on what's going on. It is important to note that there were representatives from Supervisor Alcorn's office present and listening. There's a lot of conversation happening between the zoning ordinance and what Dominion Energy's interpretation of that ordinance is versus what the zoning ordinance actually says. And so we've been trying to get confirmation one way or the other to provide more confirmed feedback to RA clusters, and Supervisor Alcorn and his team are aware of the member concerns related to full cutoff light fixtures within communities, their complexities within the zoning ordinance, and how they impact their members. And so if you would like to watch a video recording of the presentation, it is linked in this presentation and located on the Reston Association, reston.org website. We are hopeful to have some sort of finality or decision determination on what the next steps are for those that are looking for proactive replacements, and how the zoning ordinance and Dominion Energy have come to resolution on what is and what is not allowed or permitted for lighting within cluster associations. While our meet and greets are really, really helpful to cast a wider net on getting all of our clusters together for specific topics, our show and tells continue to be the best resource available to individual cluster associations and cluster boards. Our show and tells were kind of created as a way to meet a cluster board, look at their community, walk their community, and kind of go over things that they may not be aware of or they may want information on. We have a multitude of topics that we discuss during these show and tells with cluster boards as we walk through the neighborhood, from cluster standards to how to go through the complaint process, what does enforcement look like from Reston Association, who to contact for what at Reston Association, and any of our upcoming outreach programs for our cluster leadership. And we've been very fortunate to do 41 of these since June 2020, and we have several that we've completed thus far in 2022. And we're hopeful to see Pinecrest again as a repeat show and tell, and Northgate Square and Dogwood later in the next couple of weeks. But this is a really great opportunity for us. And so if there's a member that's seeing this or a cluster board member that's seeing this and really wants to take advantage of the show and tell, we would love the opportunity to meet your cluster board, walk the community, especially since many are self-managed, and how RA staff, specifically the Covenants Department, can support you all in navigating any of the things that you see as challenges or concerns or opportunities for improvement. Lastly, I just wanted to give a quick update on the design review board updates that we have. We have been very happy to have at least 45 cluster standards that have been updated this year so far, with many more to come, I'm sure. We have been specifically targeting additional clusters to update their standards with the support of RA staff. And cluster standards are essentially the specific elements that may need or may be referenced in terms of maybe a cluster only allows a 3-tab shingle and the homeowner may want an architectural shingle. And so how do we support the cluster in updating their standards to allow more flexibility in the design elements that are established within each cluster? Another thing that we're trying to spread the news on is the open positions on the design review board. We have 4 positions currently open. 1 would be a layperson and 3 would be a design professional. So a licensed architect, licensed landscape architect, or a land planner. And so if there are any RA members out there that own a home and rest association and would like to volunteer to be on the DRB and meet any of those criteria, please reach out to the Covenants Department so that we can have a discussion related to your interest and how that interest could be gelled with maybe joining and volunteering for the design review board. Some of the updates coming up this year would include the revisions to Resolution 8 and Resolution 10, hopefully in summer of this year. We've been talking about this for a little while and trying to figure out a way to enhance and improve the member experience as it relates to the design review application process, but then also how we can improve the affected party process as well. There's definitely some need for clarification and maybe shoring up some things that I think members are expecting to see when it relates to the application process and then also registering as an affected party. Some design guideline updates, which should help with the fact that we're down several design review board members, hopefully reducing the review levels, which would allow more applications to be reviewed at a staff or consultation level instead of a panel or full board meeting. Though the vote by acclamation process, which allows the DRB to group several applications together for a one motion approval, is helpful and it reduces meeting times. Having the ability to have design guidelines looked at again and reduce some levels for consideration would really help staff be able to go through some of the more frequent applications that we receive that could be reviewed at a lower level. And finally, we're very happy to have had some internal department promotions and changes, and so we've had some vacancies within the department, and we've brought on our design review meeting administrators that are responsible for hosting the panel and full board meetings and getting applications through the process. And so we filled those 2 vacant positions, and we're really excited to see what we can get accomplished this summer, early fall, before things start to die down a little bit for the year in terms of projects. So really excited to see that happening. And finally, if there's any questions or comments that anyone has related to what we've been doing in the Covenants Department, we are happy to answer any questions. Please email myself, Cam Adams, or Megan McCusi, our outreach manager. We would be happy to hear from you and answer any questions that we can. Thanks.
Good evening. Tonight I want to provide an update on some Reston land use issues that are important to the membership as well as the Reston community as a whole. First, I want to talk about the Reston Comprehensive Plan Task Force and the process going forward. The task force will be very busy in May and June with 6 meetings between those 2 months, details of which can be found at the link shown on this slide. They can also be found off a link off Supervisor Alcorn's website. The task force teams have completed their interim draft chapters on a variety of topics, and a review by county staff is underway. High-level comments have been done, and we expect more detailed comments towards the end of this month and into early June. And these will be reviewed by the task force and hopefully voted on by the task force as well. Community engagement for this process will really begin in earnest this summer. And that will come through Supervisor Alcorn's office as well as a meeting with the RA board, and I'm sure other community groups will have meetings as well. Right now, the Planning Commission hearing is set for September 14th, and the Board of Supervisors hearing for October 11th. Very likely these dates could change, and we'll try to keep the community apprised of if and when those dates do change. Again, the Reston Association Board will hold a public hearing and vote on the new comp plan. And again, this will be after the county staff is done with its review, as well as the task force process wrapping up. We anticipate this being early to midsummer. There exists the possibility that there may be 2 versions of certain chapters, one by the task force and one by the county staff. So there'll be no dearth of reading for those who are very interested in getting into the details on these various chapters of the comprehensive plan. The RA Advisory Committees, Environmental, Multimodal, Parks and Recreation, will also be submitting to the RA Board information and recommendations for the RA Board to consider, and we anticipate those happening in the month of June. RA's representatives to the task force, John Mooney and myself, have not voted on any of the chapters or final chapters at this point. That is an action that will be undertaken by the full Reston Association Board based upon recommendations from its committees, the community, and their own review of the draft chapters of the comp plan. A couple other quick updates. The Fannie Mae redevelopment proposal is moving forward. This is the old distillery site and currently the Fannie Mae building over off Washington and Old Dominion Trail across Sunset Hills Road from Plaza America. On April 27th, the Fairfax County Planning Commission held a public hearing that went into the wee hours of the morning and deferred for decision only to June 15th. We will try to find out more information about this and make sure the public is aware as that moves through the process. Lastly, the Reston Association has filed an appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals regarding a determination RA received from the zoning administrator having to do with the addition of lights to the tennis courts. This is Barton Hill Tennis Courts over off Sunrise Valley Drive. So that hearing is scheduled for July 20th, and we will be presenting our case to the BZA as the association doesn't believe the determination was correct regarding the process going forward, and that the association must follow to put the board-approved lights at these tennis courts. And if you have any questions regarding what's been presented here tonight or other land use matters affecting Reston Association, you can email landuse@reston.org, and we'll try to get responses to those as quickly as possible. Thank you for your time.
This is the Treasurer's report for the period ending April 30th, 2022. Through April, total revenues were $259,000 or 1.6% better than budget for the year. This is primarily the result of registration for camps, aquatics, and tennis, as well as other programs and facility uses as members begin to normalize activities coming out of COVID. While inflationary pressures and timing of certain expenses have adversely impacted several functional costs, total operating expenses are also tracking favorably to budget by $527,000, almost 10% better in total. In summary, net revenues versus operating expenses have a positive variance of $787,000 or 6.7%. Revenues for 2022 through April. Total revenues amounted to $17,458,000 for the year through April 30th. As you can see in the schedules to the right, the overall positive variance in revenues was driven by increases in program and rental income, particularly strong registration for camps and tennis. Expenses. I'd first like to report on the major positive variance in expenses. The largest positive variance in expenses is reflected in personnel costs, which are running $447,000 below budget. This is due primarily to 3 key vacancies that have yet to be filled this year. as personnel costs represent 62.9% of the total operating budget through April. These salary expenses associated with these positions represent almost 85% of the total positive variance in our operating expenses year to date. Next, but much less significant, are those negative variances of greater than $10,000. In total, these variances were offset by other positive variances in expenses. They include utilities, $24,000, bank fees, $38,000, vehicles, $12,000, chemicals, $17,000, and advertising, $31,000. I'd like to finish up with describing some observations about the balance sheet. Cash available for operations, cash in cash operations is $2.9 million greater than it was at this time last year. Net accounts receivable that are expected to convert to cash have increased by $505,000. Current liabilities have only moderately increased over the period by $199,000. And finally, net assets have increased by $2.7 million in the past year.
Hi, we're here at Lake Ann Plaza on the dock to announce the addition of 14 new boats to our rental fleet. We've got these new pedal boats you see here. These new paddle boats will also have shade awnings on them, so you don't have to worry about the sun while you're out there. These are our new single and tandem kayaks. Our hours of operation are going to be Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The last rental will go out 1 hour before closing. You're welcome to bring your fishing gear and try your luck out on the lake. Just please keep in mind there is no swimming at any time. We look forward to you joining us here at Lake Ann Plaza. While enjoying all of the new boats, you can visit all of the shops and restaurants that are also here. Here at RA Boat Rentals, we also have group and private rentals available. Please contact RA Boat Rentals at reston.org for more information.
The Reston 2022 Recreation Passes are now on sale. There's something here for everyone. With 50 outdoor tennis courts, 24 lighted for night play, and 4 lighted pickleball courts, Reston Association offers one of the most extensive tennis programs in the Washington metropolitan area. Courts include youth 8 and under 36-foot courts, year-round hard surface courts, clay surface courts, hitting walls, and 4 dedicated pickleball courts. And if that wasn't enough, another benefit of having the RA Rec Pass is access to one of our pools nestled around this beautiful community. We have heated pools for early and late season access, lap lanes, hot tubs, diving boards, spray parks, shaded picnic areas, not to mention water slides. Membership options include resident members and non-members. And we have guest pass options as well. Please visit reston.org and click on this link to find out more. The link is also available in the description section of this video. You can purchase your pass online and have them shipped to you for free. In-person pass sales are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 12,001 Sunrise Valley Drive, Reston. Get out and experience all that Reston has to offer. Make this year something special.
So the big question of the day, is Senior Movie Day going to continue? So today we're at Reston Town Center Theater and we're hosting up to 300 people at our Senior Movie Day that's held the fourth Wednesday of every month. We've been doing this actually since 1994. We invite local seniors from the community to come and enjoy a free movie. We have coffee, orange juice, donuts prior to the movie. It's all free. Thankful to our sponsors. We've had a couple sponsors participate along the way over all these years. But we'd like to thank Bowtie Cinemas for hosting us once a month since 2011. This is one of our volunteers here. She's been volunteering with Reston Association for a couple years. She does our refreshment stand. She'll do just whatever we ask her to do. She's such a great volunteer. Thanks for being here all these years.
I'm so happy. I'm glad to do it for you, Ashley.
Yeah.
You are a good lady.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for volunteering with us. And then after the movie, we welcome everybody to stay at Reston Town Center and have some lunch or do a little shopping after the movie. So it's a great morning to come and be out in the community and see your friends. So we have some fun upcoming events. We're going to the Nats game, we're going to the theater, we're going to go to the Kennedy Center. So hopefully you picked up some information on your way in, but also you can always, if you're on my email list, I email all that stuff out to you. So the big question of the day, is Senior Movie Day going to continue? Well, as you may or may not have heard, the theater has sold to another company who is going to close the theater for renovations only. They will reopen, and then Senior Movie Day will continue. Oh, there you go.
Hi, I'm Chris Shoemaker with the Reston Association Capital Projects Department. We're here today at Browns Chapel Park where we have the exercise trail being installed. As people are enjoying our beautiful trails, we want to include more exercise opportunities outdoors. This is a new trail system that we're putting in. There's 3 different stations and one of them will actually be ADA accessible. Our hope is to install a couple more of these in the park over time. Unlike these older exercise stations, which will only allow maybe 1 or 2 functions, these new ones are ADA accessible and allow people of varying physical abilities and ages to use these systems more effectively. We're excited to see this project come together and also have completed work at Temporary Road Pavilion and Tall Oaks Pool, where the full chip out of the interior plaster was removed, as well as the tile and coping. As an update to the Ridge Heights pool, unfortunately due to supply chain issues, the pool will not be opening as scheduled and will be opening during Memorial Day weekend. In its place, Lake Audubon Pool will be opening early. For more updates on these projects and others, please visit the Capital Projects page on reston.org or email us at capitalprojects@reston.org.
As we roll into warmer weather this spring, I know Restonians are eager to get out and take full advantage of Reston's lakes. Here are some things to remember if you'd like to use a boat in Reston. First of all, please remember no swimming is permitted in Reston's lakes, so boats and paddleboards are the best way to explore and enjoy the water. If you plan on bringing a kayak, canoe, or any other kind of hand-carried boat, stand-up paddleboard to Reston's lakes this summer, be sure to register it with a one-time free general access permit like this one. You can register for this permit by going to the Member Services desk or emailing watershed@reston.org. This permit is required and allows us to know who is using the lakes, helps us track down the owners of misplaced boats, and acts as an acknowledgement of the rules of Reston's lakes. If you live on Lake Audubon, Lake Anne, or here on Lake Thoreau, you might own a permanently moored boat, like this one, docked on your own property or on that of your cluster. These are pontoon boats or deck boats, which are registered with RA and stay in the lakes year-round. These boats require an annual renewal so that Reston Association knows whose boat is whose. If you have not renewed your permanently moored boats registration this year, make sure to head to WebTrack to purchase your permit and download the renewal form. If you would like to register for a permanent mooring permit, please contact us at watershed@reston.org before purchasing your boat so that RA staff can confirm your boat conforms to RA's rules. Every year, the Watershed team inspects the lakes in early summer to ensure that permanently moored boats comply with environmental, safety, and aesthetic standards. For instance, any boat in Reston, permanently moored or hand-carried, may only use electric motors. Gas motors are not permitted under any circumstance. For details on Reston's boat policies, check out our boat guide found on reston.org. This helpful tool details all kinds of useful information on the types of boats allowed in Reston's lakes and their specifications. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to the Watershed team at watershed@reston.org, or you can email me personally at broads@reston.org. See you on the lakes.
Hi, we're back, Christina. Sorry, folks, we ran a few minutes over. I'm just going to give my fellow board members a few minutes to come out. And then I will make the executive session cleansing motion. Does anybody have it? Want to go for it? You're all going to be mute when we come out of breakout rooms, so you have to unmute yourself.
I move that the Reston Association Board of Directors certifies to the best of each member's knowledge that only those matters appropriate for executive session of a personnel matters, violations matters, consultation with counsel, and contractual matters were heard, discussed, or considered by the board in executive session.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. I can read the others and then somebody can move. If I could get move to ratify and approve the decision reached in executive session to adopt the May Legal Committee's report and affirm the decision reached. Would somebody like to move on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. If somebody would move that in accordance with the association's policies on purchasing and procurement to approve the contract with Whipley LLP for CIO advisory services in the amount of $138,000. Do we have somebody to move? I can move. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Mike, you were an aye?
Yes.
Yeah, he raised his hand.
Yes. Maybe a little.
Any no's? Jennifer is a no. Okay. And no abstentions. Great. Okay, move that in accordance with the association's policies on purchasing and procurement to approve the contract for Red River Management LLC for the IT services in the amount of $214,964.40. Would somebody like to move?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that was it for our executive session. Now jumping back to our at-large candidate appointment. We will go through the names again according to the list that we had. First come, the first applicants, the same order. Do I have a motion to appoint John Farrell for the at-large position?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. All in favor? We have 3 votes, 4 with Bob. Okay. Any no's or any abstentions?
Abstain.
Glenn, you said abstain?
Yes.
Abstain.
Okay. Any no's? Karen is a no. Okay. So the next we have a motion to appoint Linda for the at-large seat on the board. Is there anybody who's willing to move?
So moved.
Thank you, Karen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have 2 4s. Okay, do we have a motion to appoint Dan Lender for the at-large position?
Did you want to take abstentions or no's on that?
Sorry.
vote?
So sorry. Yes. Abstentions? Any abstentions on Linda? Jennifer is an abstention. Erwin is an abstention. Okay. And any no's? No no's. Got it. Perfect. So motion on Dan. Yes, Tony?
Did you vote in that last?
I'm abstaining on all of them, Tony, for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no no's. Any motions for Dan?
I move to appoint Dan.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
2. And then we have, do I have a motion to appoint Bill Roundtree?
You have to take
So moved.
abstentions and no's.
Yeah, you haven't taken the other votes.
Sorry, back to this. Any abstentions on Dan? 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. And any no votes?
Including yourself.
Yes, I'm 5. Yes, I've got me. Yes. Any no's? Mike, you're a no? Okay. Any other no's? Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to appoint Bill Roundtree?
Motion to appoint Bill Roundtree.
There a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. All yeses?
Yeah.
2. Any abstentions? I'm an abstention. 1, 2, 5 abstentions with me. Any no's? Mike, are you an abstention or a no?
Oh, sorry, I'm abstaining.
Okay, perfect. So we have 6 abstentions. Okay, how do we feel about nobody got the 5 votes to get them across the finish line? Yes, Karen?
I would like to move that we appoint Linda Alacudo for the at-large director.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have, can we go for a vote? How many yeses do we have? All in favor? 2, 4. So we can go down this road, we can keep going down to, and Tony, help me with the language. Is it every time we come back, are we asking to reconsider, or are we asking, is the motion to, do we keep doing the to appoint?
You can keep doing to a point because the motion is defeated. So you're not reconsidering anything.
Got it. Would we like to hear from the 2 candidates that are in close tie? How do we feel as a board? They don't all speak at once.
I don't know if that would change anything, but
okay.
If they would like to, I don't want to deny them that opportunity.
John and Linda, if you're here, would you like to take 1 quick minute to tell us something that you think will sway the group one way or another? Christina, can you help unmute them, please?
I really don't. I'm trying to imagine something that's going to change somebody's mind, and I'm looking at how the votes have broken down, and I just I don't see that. I don't see something being said to change anybody's mind. I appreciate the support of Jennifer and Mike and Bob and Erwin. I wish I had a solution, but I don't.
Thank you, John. Linda, do you have anything you want to share with us?
Yes, I'd just like to say again, thank you for your confidence and trust, those of you who did vote for me. And I appreciate the opportunity of all of you, of your consideration. All I can say is I would bring something fresh and different, a different perspective to the group. And if that's an advantage that you'd like to see, then I'd love to be a part of it. And that's okay if you don't. Thank you for me.
Thank you, Linda. Yes, Mike.
Sarah, I noticed that we didn't take a second vote on Mr. Farrell.
Yes, we did not.
Okay,
Karen?
so I'd like to nominate John Farrell for the open at-large director seat.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So we've got 5 for Farrell. We've got Glenn, Bob, Jennifer, Erwin, and Mike. Okay, I think Tony, is that good? Oh, we need the no votes. Do we have any no's and any abstentions? Any no's? Karen is a no. Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining. Can you see my hand?
Yes, yes, Lori is an abstention. Okay. Perfect. Welcome, Farrell, to our board. Linda, thank you so much for throwing your hat in the race. Dan and Bill, thank you so much for taking the time. We hope that all of you please continue to participate with RA. We've got wonderful opportunities in our different committees, and we would love to see more of you and get involved in RA. Yes, Bob?
I was going to say that this may seem like it was kind of a very shotgun approach, but there was a very active discussion about the quality of all four candidates, who all brought very different skills and experiences to the board. And I wish we could have had you all join the board.
That's true. Yeah.
It would have been an incredible add to the board.
It's a strong crew. Yes.
Very much so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, folks. Thank you so much. And John, you are officially a board member now. So if you could have your camera turned on and you're joining us on the table.
Certainly, ma'am.
It happens that fast. That's cool.
Wow.
It is cool.
I had to go through orientation and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt.
He has to
We're a few
learn the
minutes
secret.
past, so
He
I'm
has to
gonna
learn the secret handshake. He has to learn the secret handshake,
Oh.
and the oath, and all that.
Okay, Mike, we're a little behind on the agenda,
Okay,
so we're
I'll
going to
stop.
move on.
I'll stop.
Thank
I'll
you.
stop.
Thank you. Jordan, you're with us. If we can jump into the IT committee work plan, please. If you can help
Yes,
us
absolutely.
catch up on time, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, I think it's up to you all to help us catch up on time. So the IT committee that was recently formed late last year met several times in December and then each month this year, and developed a work plan that's included on page 36 of your packets. The work plan was drafted in February. It was finalized in March. It was approved internally to the IT committee in April, along with Director Small. It was brought before the Board Operations Committee earlier this month, and now it's being brought before the Board of Directors in its current state. It has 4 strategic goals and objectives that align with the WIPFLE IT maturity assessment. The first one is to make it easier for members and other constituents to do business with RA. The second strategic goal and objective is to enable RA to work more efficiently. The third strategic goal and objective is to better protect member and constituent information. And the fourth strategic goal and objective was to use technology to improve opportunities for revenue growth in the non-assessment lines of business. And that is the strategic goal that we're actually recommending deferral for, because we do not have IT committee members or any of the IT committee members who are feel they are qualified or interested in leading that strategic goal and objective in conjunction with the RAIT staff. Every one of the action steps that are listed within that roadmap work plan, have been agreed upon by the IT committee members who are leading each of the strategic goals. And they are all working through those action steps as we await final approval of this work plan. So the anticipated completion dates that we have in there will definitely shift around based off of priorities and our access to information, as well as the availability of the RAIT staff and the IT committee members to be able to help perform all of this work, as well as any RA member volunteers that we may have come in and help us execute this work plan as well. In addition to these strategic goals and the action steps, we also recommended that there be an extension of one of the responsibilities from the IT committee charter, and that is item E in the responsibilities, Right now, it says to assist in the evaluation of the association's information technology procurement activities. We feel that that should be expanded to include reviewing vendor contracts and proposals. All of you board members who were in the executive session, what you saw from that was that we had good dialogue leading up to the recommendations that we gave to Director Small and Director or Mr. Butler. But that was because the IT committee was able to talk freely about the the existing vendor contracts and benefits to RA. I think that if we also have the same kind of access to vendor proposals, we'll be able to give continued good advice and informed opinions to the RA board. So I guess subject to any questions, that's kind
Jordan.
of where
Just
we're at with the work plan. Yes.
quick question, if Larry or you, one of you can share the work plan, so if any directors had comments, people could see what we're talking about.
If it's okay, Sarah, while we're waiting to
Sure.
see that, I've reviewed the plan. I've participated in the IT committee when it was fully discussed, and I think the goals and objectives are admirable. And the objectives are things that would be very helpful for us to do. I think it's an ambitious plan. And so my caveat in supporting it is we have to be realistic. We have to prioritize. We talk about doing process review. We've got to prioritize and come up with a much more detailed sort of resource loaded plan. And I've talked to Jordan and others about this, and I think it makes sense to move it forward. Let's get started. Let's see what we can do, and and see what kind of volunteers we can engage to help us with some of this work. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Lynn. Do any of the other directors have any questions? Comments? Yes, Jennifer.
I'd like to move to accept the Information Technology Committee work plan with the additional stipulation that the two motions that from the board regarding reviewing contracts are taken up as expeditiously as possible by the IT committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No. Can I call the vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Glenn, was that a yes?
Yes.
Perfect, so that's unanimous. Thank you. Jordan, I think that's it. That's what we were looking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jordan.
Have a great night.
Yeah. Since we did catch up on time, I want to quickly open it for a member comment really quickly. And I think I have my member here who is joining us to make a comment. May, is that you? Mike, do we see our member?
May?
No, Marilyn Downing. Do we see Marilyn on here?
I do not see her, Sarah.
I don't either.
I will message her, and if she comes back, we'll get her back. Okay, moving on to the next item, which we've already watched the videos. Do we have any questions for Cam Adams on that topic? Which is our second quarter cluster outreach update. We've all had the videos in our Dropbox, and those who are joining us would have seen the videos before when board was in executive session. So any questions for Cam? And there's Cam to answer them, ready to go.
On the call, so she.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but Cam, I said if we could have the list when you get a chance of what the new lighting standards difficulties are, or any way you can put that in a list for us so we can start to understand what our members have been giving you guys feedback on. That would be really helpful. And then my other one is, and I emailed it, is, just to encourage you, if there's anything that we can do as a board to, help you move forward, any opinions or comments, feedback that you need for us. I love your updates, but I'd also like to help in some way, and in your future updates, if you guys have any of those types of suggestions on things that we can take up, discuss, or assist you guys with, I would love to see that.
So quickly, a couple of things. Actually, I just sent you an email and Sarah an email. If you could forward it to the rest of the board about the bullet points related to the lighting. I'm happy to expand on that. Megan created those bullet points, and she has really taken charge of the lighting standard updates and the Dominion issues that we've been having. So happy to answer any questions related to that. But in terms of the support from the board, in terms of our outreach efforts and what we're trying to do, I specifically pointed out 3 different topics related to that. One being if RA members or cluster board members are reaching out to you all in support of looking for advice or feedback or concerns or questions, please continue to direct those members to our staff, myself and Megan. We really enjoy hearing from clusters. Unfortunately, there are some concerns that come up that we try to address as best we can, but it's really helpful to direct them to us to try and help facilitate any resolution to their concerns or questions that they have. And then, of course, we're open to any feedback that you all have. I know that Erwin is looking at some of the resolutions. So if there are any feedback that you all have in looking at the resolutions for the DRB or covenants or even legal committee, please feel free to send those to us. And then, as you all know, we're currently looking at recruiting different DRB members. And so some of the suggestions that we've had is looking at potentially reimbursing the design professionals for the DRB for their licensure fees or their continuing education courses or association dues. So if there's thoughts or feedback from the board related to those suggestions or ideas or any other new ideas in terms of retaining or maintaining retaining or recruiting any new DRB members, we'd love to hear it to kind of formalize potentially a resolution and work with legal counsel on looking at those things that may be available options to us to look at fulfilling those empty positions that we currently have. So open to any and all suggestions.
Kim, did you get the DRB members to call the list, or do you guys need any additional help in reaching out? We had identified, I've been DRB liaison for 1 month, and that's my whole reign. So you got it, John, from here. But we came up with a list of qualified people that live in Reston that could apply to the DRB, because we have so many open slots. And Cam was telling us at our last meeting that he might need our help in calling or connecting with them. So I wasn't sure if you needed any of us for that.
Yes, and we will be emailing that list. We identified about 44 different homeowners. As you all know, Class A members are required to be DRB members. So you have to own a home in order to be on the DRB in Reston Association. So we've identified 44, and we are compiling contact information for all of them. Some of them we didn't have phone numbers or email addresses for. So our belief is that the best way to recruit and kind of reach out is through a phone call or something more personal than just a letter saying, hey, we know that you're a design professional. So hopefully that list will be emailed in the next couple of days so that we can give you all the information and then reach out accordingly, maybe per district or something that is a little bit more creative to kind of reach out to those individuals that are qualified per our requirements from the deed. So yes, that is forthcoming.
Yes, Erwin, go ahead.
Do you have, does that list, is that list composed of architects alone, or does it include landscape architects and urban planners?
That list only contains architects and landscape architects in the 3 zip codes that service Reston Association.
Is there a corresponding list for urban planners?
Urban planners are not required to be licensed, so there is no licensure database that we can pull from, unlike architects and landscape architects, which are required to be registered with DPOR.
Yes.
John,
is
you
there
had
an association of urban planners?
There is a designation that urban planners can possess, and we've reached out to that organization that provides that designation. But we've not received any response in terms of qualified members that are in Reston Association and our RA members, homeowners, category A homeowners.
Okay, Erwin, I'm going to let John ask you a question.
No, that's fine. Cam's there. AICP designations are your urban planners, and there is an institute. It's American Institute of Certified Planners. And Cam, I'm guessing you reached out to them already?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I'm not a member, so it's hard. I don't know that I advantaged you by reaching out myself. I actually had a conversation this past weekend with a former member of DRB and encouraged them to get back on it. So when we see that list, I'll probably know a fair number of the people on that list, and I'm happy to make some phone calls, Cam.
Thank you.
I think this is a continued conversation. Thank you guys. Do any of the other directors, Lori, Bob, Mike, Karen, any comments? Those that haven't spoken, Glenn, any comments? No. Okay, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. We will continue this conversation. I am now going to call on, I think our member is available. Mike, she's the one with the BECC. There we go. Hi, can we unmute?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hi. So my name is Marilyn Downing. I don't know how to change my Zoom name, so I apologize.
It's okay.
But
Marilyn, I
just
need
wanted
your
to
address.
share,
You need
an
to-
experience that I had that was really positive. I don't know, about a month ago, I'm a single mom, a newly single mom.
Marilyn, I need to stop you right there. I
Yeah.
just need you to share your address.
Oh, my address. I'm sorry.
Thank
It's 1533 Northgate Square, Unit 2, and my zip code is 20190.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So sorry. Anyway, so I recently got a divorce. I have 2 little kids who are 3 and just turned 2. They've been through a lot in the last year. And one of the things that brought them a great deal of happiness last summer were the pools. And so I went into Reston Association about a month ago, between my divorce and getting my house refinanced. I had, a family member bought it, but I had missed the date to get a payment plan. And so I walked into RA about a month ago, hoping to intending to ask to get a payment plan anyway, because I really wanted my kids to be able to use the pools. I knew they would be devastated if they couldn't, but I couldn't pay the whole assessment at once. And so he walked into RA, and one of the employees there was so kind to me. He looked up my address, told me that when my family member had purchased my home, that all of the dues had already been paid, which I didn't realize. And then he proceeded to help me with my account, get my pool passes redone. He then called, I believe, his supervisor and asked if a charge from last year that I had placed a deposit for a facility rental that we never used in the midst of my divorce. And he had called his supervisor and asked if that could be removed. And in the process of doing so, probably could have shared a lot of personal information about me that would have been helpful. to the supervisor to know, but he was so delicate with it. There were other people in the office, and he didn't divulge much personal information at all. And so what I thought was going to be me walking in and maybe getting a payment arrangement, and probably not, because I was past the date, was just such a wonderful experience for me. My kids have already been to the pool this summer, and I was able to use that refund that I was given to buy groceries, which was very helpful. As a single mom, I'm really tight with cash everywhere. So I just wanted to share that positive experience. I feel like RA gets such a bad rap, and I had such a wonderful experience due to this employee. And so I just really wanted to kind of reach out and express my gratitude.
Thank you, Marilyn. We have Mike Leone, who is the director and the ultimate boss for the employee. And Mike, can you identify who it is and share?
Thank you for sharing that story. The two individuals that helped you out in member services that day, Juan Hernandez is our member services representative, and Maurice Garrett is our member services supervisor. So the two of them kind of tag teamed to take care of you that day. But you know, they will see this video, so I'll make sure that they see your positive feedback. And you know, we're happy we're able to take care of you that day.
Yeah, thank you so much. My kids are thrilled. My 3-year-old has already asked why he can't go down the water slide into the 10-foot water, and so yeah, he's already checking out all the pools while telling me that he's too scared to get in the water but wants to go down the water slide. So anyway, but yeah, so thank you all so much. I appreciate your time and allowing me to share that experience with you and with your employees.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you for reaching.
Thank you.
Of course.
And good luck to you going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for indulging me in that. Now back to our agenda. We're not too far off, 2 minutes away. Vice President Juszczyk got assessment and finance resolution 3.
So who we should really be thanking on this resolution is Bob. For those of you who have been on the board, one of the goals of the previous board was to bring this resolution and any tweaks to it so that both, you know, the board, the finance committee, and staff were all on the same page on how this calculation was done, so that ultimately when it gets to us as a board, we have one number that we can understand. And Bob graciously over the year, who has listened to all of everyone's feedback, took a stab at making edits. We took it to BGC, who approved the edits. And one of the concerns was that we make sure that the finance committee was okay with it. So Bob and I took it to the fiscal committee, and the fiscal committee voted unanimously that they were okay with it. And Larry also confirmed during BOC that the staff were okay with it. So I think that we have consensus and agreement on some language tweaks to this resolution. So thank you all for taking the time over the year to get there.
Do you have a motion, Jennifer?
So I would motion to approve or
the amendment to assessment
the amendment
resolution 3 as presented.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Was that unanimous? Yes, we got everyone.
Of all the people I can see.
Yes, John, you voted too?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. And we can move to our board secretary, Erwin Flashman, on review of board resolutions. Erwin, if you want to give us a little bit about it.
I presented a memorandum, which is in your packet at the beginning of May, and it proposes that Tony and I review all of the board's resolutions to remove inconsistencies and contradictions, to remove matters that are not enforceable in the policy statement, and to remove matters which are contrary really to the general philosophy of RA. And so we will be presenting from time to time groups of the resolutions with the appropriate amendments, and we will share them with the appropriate committees and individuals who might be concerned or directly impacted by them before we come to the board. And so we anticipate that this activity will take approximately 1 year. There are approximately 500 pages of resolutions. And so it'll take us a while to get through all of those with the kind of detail that we will need to provide to these so that we have a consistent and unified set of resolutions that work, hopefully.
You have a
And-
motion, Erwin?
And I move that the proposal as made be approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Jennifer abstention, otherwise everybody else voted. We're good, thank you. Moving on to, this is good, we've caught up. Thank you so much, Erwin. A land use update, again, it was a video that we should have all seen. It was in our Dropbox. If we have any questions for Larry, if you want to share any more than what was already presented in the video very quickly. If any directors have questions, please go for it.
I didn't really, I mean, I thought the information was fairly self-explanatory.
It was fantastic.
You were pretty
Thank you.
familiar with it, so.
And Larry was our first staff member to do the video and he led the way and it was done really well. Thank you so much. I mean, I can't thank you and Mike Leone and Sean Barami. The communications team has done fantastic with both the videos and all our backgrounds. So thank you, Larry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I don't have anything, you know, it's there, it's informational. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions, directors? No.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think that Larry had put in his update about Fannie Mae coming. I think that this is probably the first of many cases that will probably be coming back. We're already seeing some traction. And I think that the board kind of needs to consider in the future, you know, where do we want to get involved in land use issues, if any, outside of ones that might run through the DRB. Because it was a relatively very quiet period in the last 2 years. But I do think we're going to start to see it ramp back up.
I think my fellow board members should know that the county segments the zoning appeals and development recommendations in a way where the north part of the county is being handled this year, and then 2 years from now it'll be the south part of the county. And since next year is an election year, everybody's going to front load their applications. So we're going to see a lot of activity for development and renovations and redevelopment, I think. The only thing that will slow it down are the interest rates.
Yeah, Larry, are you aware that the Hunt Club property is apparently being prepared for sale?
I believe it's already sold.
Is it sold? Okay.
Sold, and my understanding is that there was a contractor out there doing tree and brush removal around the cemetery.
Yes.
I do not know what the plans are. I mean, that's something, because it is not in the PRC, that I don't believe, unless Walter requests that they do, that whatever they have coming forward would go to the Reston Planning and Zoning Committee, would probably go to the Hunter Middle District Land Use Committee.
Okay, if there are no other questions, any other questions, suggestions? Karen, Glenn, Mike, Lori? Yeah. Okay, the next item we have, thank you, Larry, for that, and thank you for doing the video. The next item we have is treasurer's report. Again, Bob was a great sport in doing the video as well. Thank you, Bob, so much, and got it up with ample time for all of us to review it. Any questions on that?
I have one apology to make, and that is I did not include the statements themselves in the hard copy that was in the board package. It was in the video, but I failed to get it into the production line in time.
It's okay. Thank you, Bob. We'll add it in the minutes for next time. Yes, Jennifer.
One of the things that Fiscal had brought up, and it was also noted in Bob's, is that we are, according to budget, somewhat behind on advertising and sponsorship. We had asked Tom to maybe get with Mike and try to figure out if that was just a timing issue or not. But I wasn't sure if they had an update for us or if they were still researching it.
Larry, is Tom still around? Yes, I see Tom Deal. Tom, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to talk to Mike, but Mike's on this. Can you update us on that, Mike? It's probably timing, right? Yeah, it's a combination of timing, and sponsorships is still starting to come back. It's a little bit slower post-COVID. I think we had kind of expected we'd be a little further along sooner in 2022 than what we're seeing. Businesses are starting to spend a little money, but they're still a little cautious. And I shudder to say the markets aren't probably helping anything at this point either. So I think we'll pick up some steam there. Advertising is in the same situation. Over the last month and a half, we've started to see an uptick in ad sales. So again, I think we'll close that gap. My fingers crossed we'll actually hit budget target by the end of the year. But again, it really is a product of the environment we're working in, and businesses are still a little slow putting out large scale sponsorship money. And advertising, they're leaning more to the less expensive digital ads in RA News, in our Parks and Recs newsletter, but they were a little bit more reluctant to do a full page ad in the activities guide, which is more expensive and is a little bit of a harder sale right now.
Thank you, Mike, for that. Any other questions? Comments on?
I have a comment. I think the videos were really well done. Really appreciate the work that went into it and good information. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. Are we good? Anybody else? Any comments? Our new director, John, any comments? No. Okay. Fantastic. Moving to new business. I do have one new business that I want to bring up. It's more a request, if staff is okay with it, to extend the deadline for our budget suggestion. I think right now it's June 3rd. And I'd like to go about it in two ways if possible. One is with Cam and his team to send it out to the condos and cluster boards with a cover letter, and I'm happy to work with Cam on that to kind of explain to them what are we looking for, what kind of suggestions, so we don't get something about renovating the fountain at Reston Town Center or not, but something that RA can actually do. So, and Cam, if you can put that out and try to get us some feedback from them by June 15th, so we can have it for our June board meeting, that would be helpful. And then the second, I think from past years, Larry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we've left this open, kind of open-ended. So if we got suggestions, we still entertained them, even past the deadline.
That has really depended upon the board itself, I will tell you.
Okay.
The other thing, and I guess I would ask Tom real quick, is it the June fiscal committee meeting where the fiscal committee, I just don't have the calendar right in front of me.
So we talked about it a little bit, I think, with Bob, but we were okay with it going in July to the fiscal committee.
But the current plan is that staff would provide to the fiscal committee at its June meeting any suggestions that had been forthcoming at that point. And I don't think we should wait. but I also agree with you that we shouldn't close it. Somebody may come up with some absolutely sterling idea, but in order to just, not follow the schedule in a rote way, but to actually get up to speed, I think we should discuss those ideas that are presented at the next meeting.
Yes, Mike, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to have any deadline at all. I mean, it's not like if someone sends me an email the night before we vote for the budget, then I'm gonna take that under consideration. Why have an arbitrary deadline? I realize that we want to vet them with staff and with fiscal and all that, but I think we can accommodate late entries.
Preferably earlier, but if
Sure,
there one or two that come-
absolutely. Sooner the better, but
Absolutely.
So
On
if I
that
could-
topic, yeah.
I'd like to make a comment. Since you're extending the or proposing to extend the deadline, Sarah, I would
was
like
gonna-
to
yes.
suggest
Glenn.
as part of that we can keep the non-fillable PDF form that you have to download and print and scan, and email or mail, but let's add an online form option to give people, it's more welcoming in 2022 to allow someone to fill out an electronic form than to ask them to print and fill out and scan and email or mail in the US Postal Service. They can still do that if they want to. But let's
Right.
give them an option of an online form if that's, and if anyone needs to know how to do that, I did it in 5 minutes with Microsoft Forms using the RA Microsoft 365. It's very easy to do.
I did the same and sent it out to my, emails that I have because I don't like the non-fillable version.
Larry, you okay with that?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mike Leone, is that something that between you and Tom, you can get that done?
Yeah, I mean, we can't do it through the website, but I think if it can be done through a Microsoft 365 form, then I think it can be done. It's just the current website won't allow us to do an online form, but if we use it in another application and upload and provide a link to it, it can be done.
Fantastic. And
Great.
Glenn, you can work with staff offline on this if they need help, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely.
Larry, you don't need an official vote on this, right? You've got our.
No, we'll just, Tom's on the call, so we can revise the form to take any deadline off it. And then, Mike and Tom can work together to get a fillable one done.
Perfect. And Cam, if you need any help on the cover that goes to the clusters and condos, I'm happy to help and work with you on that. Just so we give them some clear parameters, what we're asking for.
Well, and can I just say, I mean, take the deadline off. I mean, we don't need to reject ideas that aren't timely, but ideas that get in earlier are better. We're going to get more full consideration.
How about we have a suggested deadline?
A suggested deadline is perfect, yes. So people have an idea of the time frame.
They're going to come in after it anyway, so.
Yeah, and I will say from the staff's perspective, and those of you who have been on the board know this, in the end, it's the staff that has to attach costs to them, which often takes research, whether it's contractors, vendors, et cetera. And so the earlier we get them, the more time we have to put reliable numbers to them. And so, Mike, despite what you said, have something come in a night before the budget's due. So I'm not really quite sure how we put numbers to that, it's the 11th and a half hour, but we'd give it a shot, but I just wouldn't have as much reliance on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Larry, for the condos and clusters, if possible, and even our committees, not just advisory committees, even the board committees, if we could give them sort of a June 15th deadline. So we get them in by then for our June meeting to have some productive conversations. And then, of course, if they come on 16th or they come in July, we're not going to turn it down, but we are encouraging them to send it by 15th. That would be great.
Madam President, I just want to apprise the board that there is a very small reminder going out tomorrow morning in RA News, and it's already queued up to go out, reminding members of the deadline of that June 3rd date for budget suggestions. So I just don't want anybody to be surprised that that's going to appear tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Are we good, folks? Any other new business, any other suggestions, conversations, topics you want to explore? Yes, John? Oh,
The new guy.
Yeah, John and then Jennifer, yes.
New guy. I just wanted, as speaking as vice chair or of PrAC, or I guess outgoing vice chair of PrAC, I wanted to thank the staff, Larry and Laura and Nate and the other folks who showed up last night at Golf Course Island to take, I guess we had 4 members of the board and the entire committee and the finance committee on a walk around Golf Course Island. It was several hours and we learned a lot. And so I really do appreciate the time that the staff members took to help inform all of the people there about how we go about evaluating a facility. And I would encourage you, if we do another one or if PrAC does another one, I would strongly encourage the members who couldn't make it last night to make the next one.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Yes, Jennifer?
Larry, Walter Alcorn did a board matter, and it was about RTCN, which has kind of deeded RA entitlements to it. He's going to do a task force for that, and I'd like RA to consider advocating that someone be on that task force. Larry was kind enough to say he might reach out to Walter and see if he get an idea of whether they might be looking to seat that task force before our next board meeting or not. If not, I would be happy to take it to Bach next board meeting.
I think Larry has texted.
But I don't know if he got an answer.
He did
yet.
get a response back, and I also did reach out to Walter's office to say, I'm assuming Ari will have a seat at that task force. Larry, you want to share a little more to Jennifer on what you heard back?
Well, yeah, I sent Walter a text and, he gave me a very non-committal response. Let's just say that.
Okay.
What I think might be better, and I guess I'll leave it up to Tony if you all can do an action item. You might want to, if somebody wants to float a motion that the RA board specifically requests that an RA member be seated on that task force.
So moved.
Second. Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Glenn, was that it?
Now, rather than a simple request from Sarah or myself reaching out to him, you have the power of the board specifically asking Walter to have a seat on the task force.
Glenn, was that a yes or a no?
It was neither, but it's now a yes. It's a yes.
Now
now,
a yes.
but-
Okay, thank you. And Tony, you've got that, and you'll help us draft something, I guess. Send out.
Can I add to that? They named, Madam President, in that motion, Kate Hanley, who lives in Reston but is not an RA member, was named as the task force member, and I think
the chair.
Chair, excuse me. Thank you. That's what I meant to say. And I think it would be, as a friend of mine says, good cotillion to copy her on that request.
Okay, sounds good.
Good idea.
Fantastic. If that's it, the one motion that Tony forgot to include in my list of motions is the motion to adjourn. I think he had, I don't know who's winning tonight, if it's Larry or Tony, but it's not 9:30 yet.
We just to test the waters for your first meeting, Sarah, we did like a trick bet.
Over or under?
I picked 9:30 and Tony picked 9:31.
Motion to adjourn.
Lose?
You both lose.
We both lost.
All right.
Sarah wins.
Sarah
Motion to
wins.
adjourn.
This was so much work.
We
behind
all
the
won.
scenes. Yes.
We all won.
That's true. We all won.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So did
Thank
we
you.
officially have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?